Let's talk a little bit about this Stuttering John thing. Now, look, I know there are fans of this show who say enough with this fucking internet shit. Just done with it. So I'm going to clear the John stuff out right off the top today, right in the first hour, and then we've got a bunch of other stuff we need to talk about. But you remember back in November, Stuttering John was done. He ended his podcast. He said, he
was done streaming.
Yeah, he's like, I've been a writer for The Tonight Show. I've been on The Howard Stern Show. I don't need to fucking be the laughing boy of the internet. Now, he never really leaned into it. He never really kind of, laughed off the joke, which he could have, and it probably wouldn't have become that much of a thing. But you gotta understand from where John came from. John had a career. John was on one of the biggest TV shows in the world. He was on the biggest radio show in the world. I mean, John was a somebody. You can make fun of the guy all you want. You can say all the embarrassing stuff about, sure, he's drunk, whatever. He's done humiliating things, of course. But the guy had a career. The guy had more of a career than all of us making fun of him. I mean, as silly as he is, as fun as it is for people to make jokes about him, he had more success than any of us ever had. And probably made more money than any of us ever made. So
should have spent some of it on speech therapy.
Yeah, well, then there's no gimmick. That's the tragedy of it. If he tries to better himself, the whole gimmick goes away. So John has had a successful career. So to become this internet streaming, super chat getting kind of laughing stock, that's got to hurt. There's got to be a wounded pride, a hurt dignity when you're that high up. I mean, hell, I was just a #1 rated morning radio talk show host. And I come to YouTube and I look at some of the people that are around me and I go, I'm way better than this. This is garbage. I don't want to be associated with these fucking people. They're insane. So I can only imagine what it was like for Stuttering John. So he ends his show in November. And in this show's opinion, and in my opinion, and I think we all agreed, there's no reason to make fun of John anymore. He's done. He left. There's no show. Well, since he left, you've had, Shuli wasn't getting any traction or viewership or subscriptions until he started bagging on Stuttering John. So I can see where he wouldn't want to leave the meal ticket. So he's kept a show alive and a YouTube channel alive based solely on making fun of Stuttering John. It's amazing that he's been able to milk this much out of it for the last 7 months. And of course you have Karl from Who Are These Podcasts, who not really on the John thing anymore. I mean, John left, so Karl's been done. Who Are These Podcasts is an incredibly successful show without Stuttering John. It was gaining traction before John. It stayed popular after John. Hasn't really needed him. But then last week, John Melendez, Stuttering John, decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm coming back. He's apparently been teaching in, I think, California or New York. I can't remember where or maybe New York. I could be wrong. Either way, Stuttering John's been teaching, which is a noble pursuit, noble career. Good for him. But he decided he wants to go right at the people who shit on him for so hard for so long. One of them still shitting on him. So he agreed to do an interview with Karl from Who Are These Podcasts and Shuli. And Stuttering John agreed to half the money up front and half the money after it's over. Now, here's what's incredible to me. What's incredible to me is that these guys actually paid John. Is that John got any money out of this thing. Now, it was brokered by this Vince the attorney or whatever, and I guess he paid the first half up front is what I'm hearing. And then John, this weekend, backs out. It was supposed to happen tonight. And then this weekend, John backs out of the whole thing. John says that somebody lied to him. He came up with some excuse. But my theory is, Johnny, that Stuttering John never intended to do this interview in the first place.
No, he just wanted to burn the people that have been fucking with him. That's why he called them out specifically.
Exactly. Look, I'm not judging anybody. I think everybody involved in this is talented. I think they're great. But I will say this. Why would you fall for this? I mean, how do you not see this coming from a mile away? Now, not only do you not get your interview, but John gets to say, John gets to say that he has some kind of perverse, weird victory over you now. John gets to say, oh, look, I fooled these guys. I took half the money. I ran. I didn't do the I didn't do the interview. Look at how desperate they are for me. Look at how, how much they need me. And I just, I burned them. I turned them, this and that. And unfortunately, he's not wrong.
I don't even know what I'd say, unfortunately. I mean, he pulled it off. Wasn't it always, I believe last week even, you were saying, hey, if someone gets duped, you don't feel bad for the person who did it. Like, you're like, no, man, good for you. You separated a fool from their money.
Right. I mean, a fool and his money are soon parted. But for him to go and say, I'm doing this interview, I think the much stronger position for both Shuli and Karl would have been to go, no, John, fuck you. We don't need you. Like, you go back into your teaching and you go back into your self-imposed entertainment retirement and your streaming retirement and all that. We're moving on. We're doing other things. We don't need to play the Stuttering John game anymore. But they did, and they handed John, well, I don't think it's a big victory because it's the fucking internet. Who cares? But at the same time, now John gets to, now this guy you've painted as a dumb, miserable, stupid, hapless, stuttering drunk gets to now say, I got these guys all worked up. They made a big deal out of this upcoming interview. They promoted it to the hilt. They probably had some tricks up their sleeve. They were going to throw some people into the interview that he didn't agree to or whatever and try to make him look foolish. And he pulled out on them. I mean, he gets to now brag about how he did that. I mean, look, you've been without him since November, right?
Well, actually, Shuli hasn't.
Well, that's true.
Shuli's been living off the corpse. Like he's had John's career on internet, like just on, life support. Like, we need this thing to keep going or I'm out of work.
Yeah. I just don't think this was necessary. I mean, the John thing is done. It's been done. It's over. It's finished. It's not going to get bigger than it was in mid to late 2022. That's done. So I personally would have said no. I've got a show I do. I've got better shit to do. Karl certainly has better shit to do. Karl didn't need this interview. He didn't need the headache or whatever it was. And they should have just, the old term, let sleeping dogs lie. I mean, you start chasing whack pack shit and you start chasing shock jock shit too much, and it does end up burning you. And maybe that's the lesson to be learned here. Now, John says he's going on Misery Loves Company. He's going to go on Kevin Brennan's bragging because he hates Shuli that, hey, John's coming on my show Tuesday. I'll say this. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think John's going on shit.
I don't think he's doing anyone's show.
No, I don't think he's doing anybody's show. So we'll see. I think the whole thing was a mistake to even pursue it from the beginning. I haven't talked about John since November, since he retired. But I could have told you right away, he ain't going to show. He's not going to do your interview. And you sit there and everyone was telling him that. And they go, no, he's going to do it. You watch, blah, blah, blah. I mean, now you set yourself up to look like you can't see this fucking moron coming from a mile away. You can't do that. I mean, you can because, again, like we said, you hit end stream and you fucking go live your life. Who gives a shit? But I mean, I don't want, it's just a kind of a gross feeling to have John go like, oh, look, I tricked him. It's just a shitty feeling all around. He's been a substitute teacher in Los Angeles, says Scarface. Okay, there you go. Dario says, yeah, Who Are These Podcasts has been branching out. The new stuff is really cool. Yeah, Karl did an episode on the Whatever podcast. He did one on Dan Harmon's podcast recently that was really good. I mean, he's just been doing such great content. He's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt he does not need John. Absolutely not. Dan Whitesale says they didn't pay John the $1,500 yet. Where did you get that from? That hasn't been what was said by Shuli and Karl. I don't think Shuli and Karl paid him a dime, but I think the attorney guy might have thrown him some money. John says he got paid half up front, but can you trust him? So it's kind of a he said, she said thing.
Why would a guy lie?
Yeah, why? Look, are you saying that John Melendez would lie? I have it on good authority that John Melendez is a font of trustworthiness, to say the very least. I got to catch up with the chat here. They were going to pay, but didn't get to the payment part yet. Again, he says he got paid half. We'll see. I don't know. I'm sure they'll clear all this stuff up in the coming days. Me personally, I wouldn't. I wouldn't clear a goddamn thing up. I would just move. First of all, I wouldn't have said yes to John, interviewing John anyway. But in the second place, I would move on from this John thing immediately.
I certainly wouldn't pay any money. If it's like, oh, I need this much money or I need money up front, like, no, you don't.
No, you
don't need money up front
fucking
because we don't need you. So if you need money, you can go twist.
I'm using Socialist Media, gifting 5 memberships. Thank you very much. He hooks up P.A. Cheddar, Mr. Monkeypox, Katie Kidney, Keisha Fowler, and Papa Dan. All getting memberships today. It also brings today's goal to $2.95. Keep going. Streamlabs, PayPal, and Venmo, the best ways to do it. We appreciate super chats and memberships as well. Yule Gibbons gifting a membership to the Paul Bearer. Thank you very much. Dario Delfino says, who are these podcasts had a show with R. Kelly's cellmate and some others ranting like Owen Benjamin on a good day? Holy shit. Annoyed Wawa Supervisor says, as a lowly supervisor, John Melendez provides an aspirational story. And I can't wait for the day that I, too, can put 6 figures down on a home. I mean, look, we can say everything we want about John, but one thing you've got to give John, the guy had a bigger career than any of us.
He might not be the funniest guy there, but he has a nice house and a good family.
What's the saying? The only things real in this business are the money and the miles. That's it. All the other stuff is bullshit. And the guy had a great career. I think that's part of the reason for the hate. Part of the reason for the hate is the fact that how did this fucking buffoon?
He did not deserve this.
How did he reach higher heights than any of us? See, to me, I think that's part of the charm. I think that's part of the allure that this guy had such a great career. But it's, again, as far as John goes, I say let fucking sleeping dogs lie, make good content, do good shows. There's plenty of stuff in the world to talk about, as we're going to prove today. You don't need to placate this dipshit anymore. Let this be the end of it. I have difficulty cleaning my butthole says there are shows that need their spiteful content. They have no content without gossip. That guy says, you guys put on a pretty good show. I would say we put on a remarkably good show, but we can argue later.